Hello, all my beasties. Welcome to the Lair. How are we all doing?
There is and has been breathing.
Okay. How are we all doing, my loves? Let's see. Scroll through a little bit of our lovely chat. Give everyone a few minutes to come in, say hi, do the likey, subscribey, sharey YouTube thing. Maybe I'll eventually hit my 1,000 and then we can have a party.
Well, how many have we got now?
We're at like 780. So I'm
So,
hoping between this and me losing my shit over Murdoch, maybe we'll cross the 1,000. So let's see.
well, on the upside, there's 22 more subscribers than there were. And that's because John and I spent a bunch of time pushing your channel yesterday.
Yeah, and I feel loved, and I'm sure between that and later, and I did get a few more, um, but hey, eventually we'll make it past the 1,000. The gun expert thing in Murdaugh is going to make me start doing shots. I watched like 10 minutes of it. I was like, what is wrong with you people? Like, if this is how you're going to run this case, Murdaugh is going to be more of a train wreck than Daryl Brooks.
Worst part of it is he might actually walk.
Murdaugh?
Oh, yeah.
No, he won't.
No?
I don't think Murdaugh will walk. I think everybody's just stupid. So there's 13 of you here. I have. Why is it Cool Clearwater? There's no membership option because I need to hit 1,000 subscribers to be able to offer that perk to you and monetize the channel. So that's why I always ask for you to do the like, the subscribe, the you know, the share, all of that stuff. Once we get to that 1,000, you'll be able to join the channel. You can super chat. You can do all of the fun things, but we have to get to the monetized level first. So maybe by the end of all of this, we will have made it there. So I have pulled up day 2 and day 5, courtesy of the Croco. Um, so we will see. Obviously, yeah, I know I look tired. I had infusion this morning, so I'm a little bit tired, but we will see. Yeah, Cool Clear Water. I'm not monetized yet. There's ways you can support me that are in the description, but I would just prefer we hit the 1,000 and get to be monetized and grow our little Lair family because we have fun. So we're gonna start with day 2. We will go in order. We will go in order. We're gonna start with day 2. I have day 2 and day 5. If you have timestamps, if you have days, if you have specific things you really want to watch me lose my shit over, then all you need to do is drop them into the comments and have fun with this and let me know. Patty, please tell me you have put your drink down. And do we have drinks, inhalers?
All the things.
All the things. Okay, so I am going to pop up day 2. We will start there. We will see how far Loki makes it tonight. I promise you all my loves in the lair. Even if I only make it through these 2 pieces tonight, we are going to deal with the evidentiary stupid that is the evidentiary stupid that is the firearms in Murdoch tomorrow at the very least. Arda, there is no reason for you to donate any money to me, Mr. Ardo. Ardo, my lovely, you do enough by promoting me. All I ask, there's never, is that all of my loves, and I will be happy when we make it to 1,000. I just want to see all my loves. Um, cool, clear water. Yes, the girls were behaving. I'm glad you are here now. Anthony, day one was me. He got impeached by the defense. Okay, Anthony, do you have a timestamp for day one? If you have a timestamp for day one, I can start there. If you want to go look at day one on your own and give me times, um, I can. Otherwise, I'm gonna start with day two. We can go back. Um, Day me was first witness. Do we? Okay. Let's try day two. We can always go back. I promise. There is. I promise there's enough stupid from what you guys were filling me in the comments about. So we are going to do this. Oh, you know what? I forgot to click the thingy. Hold on. Forgot to click the good button. The button that everybody needs. I'm going to mute out Croco in just a moment because I hear the clickies.
No, you don't need to. I stopped.
Okay. Well, it's 9 days of trial. It's Trenton. No one has indexed all the hot moments. That's fine. I am going
the only time I recall speaking to her.
Core TV. We are going. It's Trenton. I'm gonna start with day two, where I have a timestamp from somebody. I have stuff on the Paramedic, the EMT, but we will do lots of the things. We will do all of the things, and I will lose my mind at all of the things. So let's do the likey, subscribey, sharey, YouTubey things, and let's get this train wreck and my aneurysm started. Day two, here we go.
And then you would have been at book club in October of 1998?
Correct.
Do you specifically remember Julie Jensen being at that book club?
I don't specifically remember her being there.
You were there.
I was there.
Do you remember any other dates that you might have had a conversation with Julie Jensen in October of 1998?
I do not remember any other dates.
Most of the contact that you had with Julie Jensen when she was watching your daughter?
Most of the extended contact. After that, it switched to the book clubs. So that was more like one time a month.
So between 1994 to 1996, it was maybe a daily contact at some points.
That's fair to say, yes.
And then after 1996, you both moved from the neighborhood and moved your child out of her care.
Yeah, we moved just down the street. We actually moved from the neighborhood.
Y'all want me to remember from 1990? I was in middle school. If you are going to ask me about a date from when I was in oh Lord.
Neighborhood in fall of 94.
And after you took your child out of her care, you started to see her more on a monthly basis.
Correct, for book club.
If she was at the book club.
She was a regular attendee.
So if she was at the book club as a regular attendee, you would have seen her.
Correct.
If you were at the book club.
Correct.
And there were times that people didn't make the book club.
There were times.
Seriously, we are grilling someone about what time and if everybody made book club. Are you going to ask for their homework next?
People have other things going on in their lives.
Correct.
Vacations.
Correct.
Birthdays.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think
Cool
we
events.
established people have lives.
True.
Many reasons.
True.
Do you? Good
One
boy.
of the things that you did know about Julie Jensen is that she had gone to school for nursing.
Correct.
And that's one of the things when you talked about having your child with her that you knew about her.
Correct.
You also met Mr. Jensen during this time in the neighborhood.
Yes,
You saw him with his boys,
I did, but not nearly as frequently.
and you knew that he worked full-time.
Correct.
You knew that Jensen was a stay-at-home mom.
Correct.
And as a stay-at-home mom, she also watched children,
Correct.
including your child.
Yes.
And she would feed your child,
Yes.
make lunch for your child.
Yes.
Did you pack your child a lunch?
Sometimes, not always.
And when you didn't, she would make sure your child was fed.
Correct.
No, she starved my kids.
At
so
the
I let
book
them
club,
keep going.
besides reading about the book, there were also treats.
Yes.
Was it mostly like brownies, or were there other types of food there?
It
Y'all
very
really expect me to remember what I ate like
30
30
years
years
ago?
ago?
Yeah.
This is day 2. I thought you said this was okay.
great.
Or turn her down.
And
Just
at the November book club, there were treats at that book club.
Correct.
Julie Jensen prepared those treats.
Correct.
Julie Jensen didn't express any concerns about her husband at that November book club.
How do you remember?
The
It's been like
only
30
concern I
years.
remember was brief.
About a tree that had been blown over by the wind.
The cover from the spa blew up because of the wind and hit the tree.
And she was worried about explaining that to Mark.
Correct.
You had never seen Mark Jensen yell at his wife.
I had not seen Mark Jensen yell at his wife.
And when she kind of explained her concerns about this tree, she never said she thought her husband was going to do something to her,
No, she
kill
just,
her.
she seemed worried, but it was more in a how will I explain what's going to happen kind of situation. Not,
How am I going to explain the weather to my husband for something that I literally had no control over? Sir? Ma'am? Why? Why do we care if she was unsure as what? Okay, this is day 2. Krakow, this is okay. Please tell me they're coming soon.
one post, because you know that I gave you the numbers from roughly where it was on John's stream, and he tends
fearing
to
for her
like
life
go a little on the early
situation.
Yeah,
side,
fearing
so-
for her safety.
Correct.
Okay,
There it is.
hold on.
Back it up just a bit.
Oh yeah, that guy. We'll get there. Okay,
Okay.
that's like in a few seconds.
In a minute or two, probably. Yeah, John kicks off his live streams a little on the early side. So if you're looking for another source, you want to.
No, I'm on Crime TV.
Nothing
just-
further. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, here we go. Here's Detective
Nothing, Your Honor.
Dipshit,
Your
apparently.
excuse, thank you.
Okay, here we go. Let's start this pain.
So, Your Honor, let me get the next number. So for purposes of timing, this is a video witness and it's quite lengthy. So I think if the court approves, we could stop the video for the lunch hour when it
All right,
gets.
let's start it and see where we go.
Okay, and so this would be witness number 75, Tadus or Ted Voigt.
Jen, I have the document. All right, I will read to the jury again the agreement the parties have regarding
do.
recorded testimony. You'll be hearing and seeing previously recorded testimony of witnesses who are no longer available to testify in person. You are instructed to ignore the logo which may appear on these videos because it has no relevance to this case. You are further instructed that this recorded testimony is evidence and should be evaluated the same way as witnesses who testify in person. So Anytime you're ready, Mr.
This is
Taylor.
the detective.
And then for the record, this is State's Exhibit 9.
Number 9?
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, Axel, okay.
For the record, will you please state your full name and spell your first and last name?
Teddy Voigt, TEDESZWOJT.
And Mr. Voigt, did you know Mark and Julie Jensen?
Yes.
How is it that you came to know Mark and Julie Jensen?
They were my next door neighbors.
Where did you live at the time that you were the neighbors of the Jensens?
It was a 9024 Lakeshore Drive, First Avenue at the time.
And when did you first move to 9024 First Avenue?
It was around 1992.
And when you moved into that residence, who were you living with at that time?
Yes.
Who were you living with at that time?
My wife,
And what's your wife's name?
Margaret.
And do you and Margaret have any children?
Yes, we
How many children do you have, sir?
2.
And how old are they?
20.
20 and 21, sir?
Right now.
Yes. And what do you do for a living, Mr. White?
Well, I'm in the construction and the design of arts, usable arts for housings and the personal usage and everything.
Tell us what you mean by usable arts for housing.
Well, I design for like restaurants, special bars, jazz clubs, stages, furniture, desks, any type of piece that you can use for
What relevance
personal
does this
use.
dude
I will
have?
work with the client and design some very unusual, creative piece of furniture.
Yeah,
or
Melanie,
just
it's
artwork.
Court TV's audio.
Can you describe some of the types of artwork that you've created in the past, say, 2 years or so?
Well, yeah, I just finished one of the project downtown Chicago, Pops for Champagne, and I designed Pops for Champagne. I designed for them their bars are stone, glass, stainless steel. Their custom tables, very unusual. That's what the client asked me to design something for them that never been done before. They never seen before. So that's what I do. I create. I use my imagination, and I build it in my head. Then I goes on the paper, and go to my shop, and then I do it.
And
That's how art works, we know.
how long, well, as of December 3rd, 1998, how long had you been living at 9024 First Avenue?
I think so. It's got to be 12 years.
Now,
Rebecca, does this dude have anything
tell,
relevant?
if you can tell the jury, if you can remember, how was it that you first met Julie Jensen?
I'm looking.
Well, actually, about 2 years before we built our house, we moved to our house. I bought the lot across the street from Julie Jensen.
And what year was it you bought the lot across the street from Julie Jensen, if you can remember?
What year was it?
Yes, do you remember?
Probably 1990.
Okay. And so what was it about buying that lot across the street
I
from
bought the
Julie?
lot to build a house on it, because actually it had existing foundation. And since we started building, then across the street, that lot, there was at the moment new construction going on, which was Julie's and Mark's house. And then on a daily basis, us coming into the construction site and leaving the construction site, we saw Julie. And actually one of the occasion, Julie actually came out to our construction site and introduced herself. She helped us a few times. She will check on us if we stayed there a little bit longer, like 9 or 10 o'clock.
What?
She was like asking,
Why-
"Are you having a
why
problem
is
with
this
some other
relevant?
stuff?" We were just working long time, long hours.
So just check on you and being a good neighbor and seeing how you were doing.
Sorry, it seems like this guy
No
is
reason
just,
to look out and,
I don't,
So did you come to view
I
Julie
was
Jensen as
told
a
it was day two.
person that was a friend of yours?
And now I'm in the wrong spot.
What?
I am not seeing 48
Where-
hours video from somewhere else. I don't know.
What is relevant about this dude?
I don't know. That's the problem. I was told that it was 48 hours video from day two, but they were
Okay.
displaying to the court. But I see this guy's face again later,
Okay.
much later, hours from now.
Okay.
All right, I have to.
We're gonna go to the EMS person.
Yeah, I'll see if I can't. I will bump somebody and see if I can't figure out where I'm going to do that. Yeah, well, I've got a small child over here that's figured out what a remote control car is.
That's fine. Hold on. We're gonna go over here instead because I'm still
Not gonna say
confused
be
by
a
the
note
last
taker, you
two.
recall that? And even without knowing that, you did not want to engage in these conversations?
Correct.
Okay, wait, hold on. First, I'm gonna turn it back to normal speed. Okay. Okay, apparently the EMT is going to be in this clip, so let's check this one first.
That guy was in uniform.
Conflict between you and the defendant.
Yes.
And can you describe that?
We would get into,
Well, Anthony,
Pretty
the
good
EMT is
fights.
apparently going to be on here in a moment.
and I would be at work when we would start on messaging is when he would ask the questions, and I would balk at them and not want to answer them, and we'd get into it.
Here we go. Let's find the EMT.
Mr.
Here we go.
Dave Wilkinson.
And the number?
Let me grab the number.
That's our boy.
Okay, just give me. Okay, I got this.
73.
Thank you.
Is there like no sound on court TV, or is this just me?
It may not
Okay,
be
this
sound on
is
for
them.
TV.
Okay. Come on, Mr. EMT. Where are you, dude? Oh, Lord.
You can remain standing, raise your right hand, I'll swear you in, okay? You solemnly swear the testimony is meant to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you. You can have a seat. Get as close as you can to the little microphone. Spell your first and last name for the court reporter.
David Wilkinson, DavidWilkinson.
Thank you. Who's going to ask the
Okay, so
questions?
he's a paramedic.
I am, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Jamboy.
Thank you. So, Mr. Wilkinson, on December 3rd, 1998, by whom were you employed?
The Village of Pleasant Prairie.
In what capacity?
At the time, I was a paid-on-call firefighter EMT.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
so
I
he's
didn't
an
understand you.
EMT at the time. Okay.
The Village of Pleasant Prairie, and as a firefighter EMT.
Do you recall being called to go to any location on that date and time, on that date?
I was called to a resident, I believe, on Lakeshore Drive. I believe it was about the 9,000 block for a person that was pulseless and non-breathing.
And do you remember when you received the phone call or when you received that call?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Tell me how were you notified that you were to go? To that
We were
location?
notified from the Kenosha County Joint Services who set off our pagers and our tones in our station.
So, just call
The tones
in at
inside the station,
6:32
the
and
tonal letters.
So
was
you were at the
dispatched
station house at the
around
time?
same
I was
time.
not. I was actually at my own private residence.
But your pager went off?
It did, sir.
And so how did you
16:35
respond to
on
the pager going
scene.
off? What
Okay.
what does the pager tell you when it goes off?
At the time we worked as a paid on call department, I was a paid responded. At the time I was what we called paid on call, which if there's a call come out, we would tone it out like that. We'd go to the scene. When we went to the scene, we would go in our private vehicle.
So on December 3rd, 1998, when you were summoned or when you received this call, you were at home at the time
I was.
and you responded in your personal vehicle.
That's correct.
Do you remember what time you received the received the call or the pager signal?
I do not. I would have to refer to my report.
Oh, I see it's up there.
There we go. Dispatch at 16:32 en route 16:32. On scene 16:35. So you made it from your house to the call in 3 minutes.
And just ask you to look at that and page through it. And when you're done looking at it, let me know.
Unless his house is around the corner, 3 minutes seems like a little on the short side.
Okay. I'm good, sir.
Now that you've received that, does that refresh your recollection as to the precise time that you received this call?
Yes, it was about 4:30 in the afternoon, or 16:32 is listed on the report.
And when did you arrive at the scene?
I would have arrived on location probably about 4:34 p.m. or 16:34 as it's listed on the report. 16:34 in military time.
Looking at in the upper right-hand corner of what is Exhibit S24, do you see it on the screen there? It's in front of you. It's also on the screen. Looking down here, does it say at location 1635?
It does, sir.
So that would have, at the time that you prepared this report, well, why don't we put it this way? When did you prepare that report that's displayed on the screen there for
You
the
have
jury?
24 hours.
So this report would be prepared following the incident. At the time, usually when we got back to the station,
By law, you
some
have
of the
24
details may have
hours.
been put on paper during the call also.
So this report was prepared immediately after the incident had occurred.
That is correct.
And at the time that you prepared this report, you endeavor to ensure that the contents of the report are accurate and reflect what actually occurred?
Yes, sir.
And it's done when the matters are still fresh in your mind.
Absolutely.
So this indicates that you were at the location at 4:35 p.m.
Correct.
Military time is 16:35.
That's correct.
Okay, we've established this like 4 times.
Now, I see under medications, it indicates Paxil and Ambien. And
Okay.
then it says new as, I can't understand what that says. Do you know what that reads, what that says?
New as of Tuesday.
New as of Tuesday. Okay.
Because you couldn't read the difference between medication
And
allergies.
then under allergies, it says NK.
medications.
What does NK?
No known
stand for?
allergies.
No known allergies.
And that's NKDA. But okay. Hey, Jerry.
In terms of the assessment and narrative, that information was derived from the defendant. Is that true?
That is correct.
And then under the narrative, that's your.
My
typing.
man's
You
asleep
type
over
that.
there.
The type narrative on the following pages. Is that what you're saying?
I'm looking at the narrative where it says just above 000952, it says narrative, and underneath that is some typed language.
Okay, let's read his narrative first. Because we are going to do the paramedic-y thing first. Called location for a PNB female. Dispatch stated it was a possible F. Frank. Upon arrival, found 41-year-old female lying face down in bed. Rigidity and pooling of blood in the face and left side. Patient placed on HM and shows asystole in 3 leads. Med control contacted with no further orders. Patient has a history of depression, has taken medication for it. All pills are accounted for in the prescription bottles. Only 3 of 10 were missing from an RX filled yesterday. PD on location took control of scene and medical examiner contacted. Okay. Well, I already see some problems, but we are we're gonna let him talk and hang himself, and then we're gonna discuss the problems because there's already problems here, sir.
Wish, did you type that?
1 second. No, Ryan Holm typed that one.
Was that based upon yours and his observations at the scene?
It was.
Well, then where's
I'd ask you
Ryan
to read
Holmes?
yourself right now.
Judge, I think I object to this being up on the screen if it's not Mr. Wilkinson's report. I'm not sure it should be shown to the jury and just ask questions. I mean, he's asking him to review it to himself, but it's up on the screen already.
Let's just take it down for now, Mr. Jim. Thank you.
Have you read it now, sir? Are you still reading it?
I have.
Now, looking at the narrative, does that refresh your recollection as to your call to this scene?
It does.
And that narrative, does that narrative accurately describe or reflect your findings at arriving upon the scene?
It does, and it concurs with what I stated on the following page, which is 000950.
So it indicates you were called to the location for a PNB female. Can you tell us what a PNB female is?
PNB is an abbreviation for pulseless non-breather, and then female
Dispatch.
relating to gender.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, sir, that is not an approved abbreviation. We don't use it. They're pulseless and apneic. But 2, you should not be testifying as a new EMT to a narrative written by the paramedic, for 1. But like the person that questioned this said, okay, Krakow, I'm gonna have to mute you because I have an echo from you. They're objecting when you write an EMS chart, the highest trained provider on scene for something like this writes the chart. So generally, in this case, it would have been the paramedic. So the paramedic would have written the chart. By law, he still has to sign the chart, which means he has to read it, read through it, and sign that he agrees. If he doesn't agree with the ALS, which is Advanced Life Support chart the paramedic wrote, then he would have to add an addendum or they wouldn't be able to file the chart. But we already have a non-standard abbreviation, and this is already like 3 sentences, not enough of a narrative. I would hammer you on QA.
The female is the gender of the patient.
And dispatch stated there was a possible F frank. What's an F frank?
Fatality, which means somebody that they believe is not going to be able to be resuscitated.
No, they don't dispatch it as a possible fatality. It is dispatched as a cardiac arrest, obvious DOA generally, not an F frank. It would be in Pennsylvania, it is a 0, the dispatch code is 09C1, which is cardiac arrest. But, and that designator would change. But it would not be a possible frank. It would be it would be cardiac arrest. Either death is obvious or obvious DOA or something, but it would be dispatched as a cardiac arrest, obvious death, or, not fatality.
Now,
We're not
it
playing Mortal
describes that you
Kombat.
found her lying face down in the bed. Is that accurate?
That would be the prone position. We use anatomical terms. We use things like prone and supine. We don't say things like laying face down. You should know better than this. This is a legal and medical document. Jerry, no, they cannot have different terminology in Wisconsin for one. I can attest I am for those of you who don't know, yeah, we'll hear it, but those of whom um those of whom who don't know, I am nationally licensed. In EMS, you can be nationally registered or state registered. I hold a license in multiple states. But we intentionally teach to a national standard curriculum. No, Jerry, I'm not. No, Jerry, not at all. I know you're curious. I'm just trying to, and all the love in the world, Jerry. If you have the question, others have the question. So I'm just trying to put it into perspective. We teach to a national standard curriculum, and we always use proper anatomical terminology for situations like this. If I use the terminology that I use with my fellow paramedics, a physician may not understand. If a fireman is using different terminology, then the paramedic may not understand. So we standardize medical terminology. So no, we do not say face down. We say the patient is prone. So it is prone or supine, face down or face up. This patient would have been prone, sir, and it wouldn't have been a possible fatality. This isn't Mortal Kombat. It would have been, we were dispatched to a possible cardiac arrest, arrived on scene to find a female patient lying prone in bed. That's how that should read.
That is correct.
There was rigidity and pulling of blood in the face and left side.
That's correct.
Now tell us what you mean by rigidity. What is the technical term for this rigidity that you found?
The technical term would be rigor mortis.
So rigor mortis was present at the time of your arrival?
That is correct.
And rigor mortis is the fact that rigor mortis was present reflects what in your training as an EMT?
My training experience tells me that that patient has been down for a considerable amount of time, in excess of 30 minutes, which is beyond help, and us have the ability to do a resuscitation on that patient.
When you say down, you mean dead?
That is correct, sir.
Mr. Jambo, I've been told the jury needs a break, so I think we can stop at this point. Go ahead and take 10 minutes, folks, okay?
Okay, well, I'm going to talk while they take this little break. Kenosha has to follow it, but everybody has to follow it. Otherwise, you'd lose your license. He's trying to put this into 8th grade terms so the jury will understand. Patty, I don't know, but the thing is, we don't care about juries. So and Patty, I mean, you know me. When we write our charts, you write your chart like you're expecting it to be in court. You should always write your EMS report like it is going to be read on the stand, like it's going to be admitted to trial. Hundreds and hundreds of my charts, hold on. Hundreds and hundreds of my charts have gone to trial, and I have testified in them. So here's the thing. Watching you, yes, an EMT can pronounce and make determination. That is incorrect. An EMT can pronounce, but it depends on certain things, and it depends on states' medical guidelines. And I did pull the Wisconsin EMS profile. Hi, Courtney. Welcome to the Lair. Oh, I'm sure it'll raise my blood pressure. Rigor rigor takes a lot longer than 30 minutes to set, for one. And I'm gonna try to not destroy this too much yet because I want to hear what he says. But the pooling of blood that they are referring to is, yeah, John, I'm going to be going for a bit. John, I am going to be going for quite a bit. So, but but here's the thing. Lividity is LIV. It is this lividity, not LEV. It's called dependent lividity, and it is not. A paramedic can in Washington. I am confused watching you. I mean, I know you and I talk all the time, where you've gotten that. So we're going to let him go for a little bit. I will pull the Washington guidelines, but pronouncing is a nationally, again, it follows national registry.
I have a question.
Hold on, Krakow. And on top of this, Patty, he didn't write that. He said the paramedic wrote that. So the paramedic should know better and have actual words that they can use. Yeah, Krakow, what's your...
Doesn't it usually take a couple of hours for rigor to set in?
It depends. A lot of it depends on temperature, ambient temperature. Let me hit play on this real quick.
30 minutes just sounds short to me, you know?
It is. Just hold on one second.
Hello, John.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. EMS and trauma. Washington. Protocol. Let's see. Pulse, defibrillation, rules, trauma care region. Let's see. I'll find it after. But yeah, watching you, any EMS can 100% pronounce. Yeah, we can 100% pronounce, as they can in Washington. It has to do, yeah, I just looked at the state protocols. It could be a local rule, but you can always pronounce. But the criteria for pronunciation is generally where everything differs, especially since it's a national standard. So we're going to jump ahead a little bit on this dude's break. So hopefully they... let's see. So that they should be back in a minute. Yeah, dependent lividity. Let's see. Okay, come on, people. How long was this break that y'all took?
These are usually about 15 to 20.
I already scrolled through most of it. What's your question, Krakow?
Actually, I think I asked my question.
Should retire next.
Okay.
Pretty sure I asked my question already. I was trying to answer yours. Hello, John. How are you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, they should be back any second. I'm not gonna let. Okay, here we go. They're coming back. Let's listen to what this EMT is going to testify to that they probably shouldn't, because they don't sound like they should be on the stand. This is going to drive me crazy, I'm sure.
So it actually says paramedic.
Thank you, Luke. Luke, for context with Cotton winner, but she's inside. Okay. Thank you for that context. Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna go through all of this because I think there might be some misunderstanding of some of the things that are going on based on my medical knowledge, but we will see. Everyone's back. Okay.
All right, we are back on the record on the Jensen matter. The appearances are the same. The jury is now back in the courtroom for the record. Mr. Wilkinson is still under oath. He's on the stand. Mr. Jamboys, you can continue.
So we'd left off with you talking about rigidity and pooling of blood in the face and left side. And
So it's called
you were explaining what the
fluidity.
technical or the medical term is for the rigidity that you observed. Could you tell that to the jury, please?
That'd be rigor mortis.
And so the fact that rigor mortis is present would indicate that she was unquestionably dead.
That is correct.
That is one of the criteria that is incompatible.
What did you do
with
upon observing
resuscitation.
the Julie Jensen's body in this fashion?
Once we observed her in that fashion, we then rotated her body slightly to place 3 electrodes on for our heart monitor. Those are small little round patches or stickers that we connect cables to and can look at the
And please bring the microphone as close to your mouth as you reasonably can, since for one thing, the way that you speak, it's kind of hard to understand you a little bit.
Okay.
And if you speak slowly into the microphone, I think the reporter will have less difficulty understanding you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So tell us about the placement of the leads.
So what we do, we move her and rotate her body slightly to place 3 leads on her body, which are small little stickers that we attach cables to that allow us to look at the electrical activity of the heart.
That's called an EKG. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Electrocardiogram.
Correct.
And when you attach the leads and you read the electrocardiogram, what did it reveal?
The electrical cardiogram revealed a rhythm called asystole, which means no electrical activity in the heart.
Which is also indicative of death.
That is correct.
And this is the manner in which you confirm that she was dead?
That is correct.
Okay. Why is the paramedic that wrote the chart not testifying? Why is someone who was the EMT and a new EMT at his own admission testifying to a chart that he didn't write? And it is ECG, not EKG, because the last time I checked, cardiogram does not start with a K. It starts with a C. Cardio. Heart. Luke, but I'd want to know. He cannot testify to the advanced life support things in this chart, in this, in the chart, because he was a brand new EMT. They needed to raise this and bring this up a while ago because you can't testify to this. So we're gonna take a very quick educational pause here. There are things that are incompatible with life. And when you are pre-hospital medical care and you get to a call and there is obvious death or certain criteria that are incompatible with life, then you can call it, right? But if you are calling a death based off of obvious signs, you would not need to confirm asystole in 3 leads. And the 3 leads they're referring to have to do with something called Einthoven's triangle, which is a big nerdy EMS thing or cardiac thing. Yes, Mayo Clinic does give both versions, electrocardiogram, ECG, or EKG. EKG is just shorthand for it, and yes, it did come from German. But the thing is, as a provider, we should be held to a medical provider standing, not general public standing. And that's a big, when I teach new paramedics and new EMTs, that is a big pet peeve of mine. So you got there. And you said it was obvious, but you need to explain how you determined rigor. If they were truly in rigor with dependent lividity, you don't need an EKG with asystole in 3 leads as confirmation to call it. But we will get there. This is...
You never attempted it, you never made any resuscitative efforts?
That is correct. No attempts were made for resuscitation.
No chest compressions or anything of that sort?
No chest compressions, no attempts of doing any rescue breathing.
So after you determine,
Rescue breathing.
so after the EKG registered nothing, what did you do next?
Called medical examiner, code 0 time, pronounce.
We placed her approximately back into the position that we found her. We disconnected the cables as we did that from the electrodes, and I believe we left the electrodes in place.
Now, when you first arrived at the scene, did anybody direct you to the location of Julie Jensen? Or do you recall?
I cannot recall who brought us to her. That's been 25 years. I don't remember.
I would direct your attention to the last page of, I think that it was Exhibit S24. What's the exhibit number in the front of that?
Are we talking this one?
Yes. What's the exhibit number on the front page of that document?
S24.
So directing your attention to the last page of S24, I'd ask you to read that to yourself.
It states that the husband brought us to the patient.
Now, have you read through that entire thing?
We
just
can't
to
find
yourself?
the detective, Anthony. I wish we
Yes.
could.
Is that your report that you prepared shortly after this incident occurred?
It is.
And at the time
Try
you
and
prepared this
remember that
report,
we're
these matters are
supposed
still
to
fresh in your mind?
small box.
Okay.
Take that.
Okay. I have to mute you, Croco. I can't hear this guy over you. And I need to hear what he's saying really quick.
Was.
And you endeavored to ensure that it was accurate information that you placed in this report?
I did.
Now that you've read that report, does that refresh your recollection as to additional details concerning your response to this incident?
It does.
Okay. Now, when you entered the bedroom, the rear bedroom, first of all, who directed you to the rear bedroom?
The patient's husband.
And did he make any statement to you?
He stated that his wife was taking a sleeping pill and an antidepressant.
And when you entered the room, how did you find Julie Jensen?
She was lying on her left side, covered in blankets, in what we call a semi-fetal position, meaning her knees were slightly bent.
Did you notice anything else about the room when you entered?
Judge, I guess I'm wondering if the witness is testifying from his memory or testifying from the document, since it looks like he's still looking at the document.
He keeps refreshing himself. He can do that if you want to keep refreshing.
Yeah, that's fine. I just am trying to figure out if we're going to find out if he's actually testifying from the document or from his memory.
We'll find out.
Thank you.
When you entered the room, did you notice anything else about the room?
The only other thing I noticed in the room was that the phone was off the hook and making that classic sound that a phone that's off the hook makes.
Did you put the phone back on the hook again?
I did.
And after you put the phone back on the hook, what did you do next?
That's when I started doing my patient assessment. I found the pooling of the blood on the left side and found her being stiff at that time.
And did you
Stiff.
And at that time, did you remove the covers from her?
I did to perform that assessment.
And when you felt the arm, what were your observations of the arm?
That it was cool and dry.
And did it appear to be stiffened in rigor mortis?
It did.
This is painful. This is just painful. Oh my God. First and foremost, you've already contradicted yourself. The initial report that was shown said that you arrived on scene and the patient was in the prone position in bed, so face down. But now you are testifying that you got in there and the patient was on her side. So I'm going to need to know if the patient was prone or on her side. Which one is it? And I'm going to need to know how you determine rigor. So when somebody is in rigor, the body will go from being normal, they'll enter rigor, and then rigor, what we call breaks. And then they are movable again. If she was in full rigor mortis, in the semi-fetal position on her side, when you rolled her onto her back, she'd have been like with her arms and legs in the air. It would have looked like you literally, it would have looked like you took a plastic figurine and just laid it on. She wouldn't have moved. You wouldn't have been able to roll her flat. If you can roll her and her legs aren't still in that L position sticking up in the air, she's not in rigor. You know, I've rolled patients from their side to their back in rigor, and you know they've been sleeping with their hands like this, and when I put them on their back, their arms are up in the air, you know, 90 degrees like this. They don't move. The blood pooling he's referring to is dependent lividity. Now, you can be an abnormal color top to bottom, or you can have blood pooling. If you have lividity, we're talking like 6 to 8 hours generally. And you can tell if a body has been moved multiple times because then you will end up with what we call double lividity. So if you die face down, the blood pools and sets, we get that purple line of lividity. I roll you onto your back or onto your side or move you. The blood will then settle again, depending on where you are in the timeline. And I will have two fixed lines on the body, and that's called double lividity. So I can tell how many times a body has been moved. So you have already impeached the chart because you have given two different body positions. You're saying the body was cool to the touch. Okay. Cool to the touch. So about room temperature, I'm guessing. Lividity and rigor, that does not need 3-lead EKG for confirmation of death. Now, he cannot testify that the patient was in asystole. At the time of this call, he didn't know what asystole or flatline was because he was an EMT. So you can't testify to that, sir. And okay, let's see how much more of a hole he's going to dig himself. Are we all just going to breathe heavily, like into the microphone, like it's a 1-900 line? I'm going to sit here and just breathe heavily into the microphone, like this guy's doing. What is this? Like, why are we just? What are we doing? Heavy breathing? Like, I'm very confused. I get that there's been way worse mic breathing, but we're literally just sitting here going, like, what are we doing? You're not Darth Vader. Nobody gives a shit. Talk. I don't want to stare at this ugly dude. I want to go back to your god-awful chart.
Mr. Wilkinson, I'm going to direct your, by the way, what's your rank now in the Pleasant Prairie Police Fire Department?
My current rank is assistant fire chief.
That has
So,
what
Assistant
to do
Chief.
with the
Yes,
price
sir.
of rice in China.
I'm going to direct your attention to the screen. I'm going to show you a series of photographs and see if you can identify those photographs.
Oh, here we go.
It's thinking.
Before we show them to the jury?
I think we already did as to the photos. They're already marked and we talked about
I'm
them.
not sure it's the same photos that he showed Dr.
I don't know
Chambliss.
either. So.
Right, that's why I'm
Well, I'm
asking.
sure it's going to be the same photos.
Ordinarily, Judge, what we do is we would show a photograph, a hard copy photograph to the witness and have the person identify
No, I did
that
not, Anthony.
photograph.
I'm sorry.
This officer did not take these photographs, but
Can you
I'm going
repost,
to ask him
please?
whether these photographs truly and accurately depict
Do what you have to do, Mr. Jamboys.
And I don't have the hard copy, so I'm going to do it on the screen.
All right.
And
Sorry, it's going slow.
it's just taking a while to load them into the computer, Your Honor, just so that the jury and everybody knows. Attorney McNeil is trying to loading them into the computer. It's going slowly.
All right, thank you.
My man. Did we not prepare before court? These photos are post-staging, by the way. I am interested to know what everybody is defining post-staging or that they've staged.
You sure it's 141 there, Tony?
Cool, Clearwater. I hope everything's okay. I hope your grandfather's okay. Go, just update us, okay? Clearwater.
Yeah, keep posted, kiddos.
Hold on. Yeah, kiddos, keep us posted and let us know if your grandfathers are okay. Because that's more important than this idiot on the screen. Okay, Luke, that is not staging and restaging a body.
All right. We did not know it was going to take this long to load these into the computer. We could have done this during the jury's break, I suppose.
That is not what you would consider staging a crime scene or restaging.
Okay, Loki. Yeah, my microphone's still on. The
What?
detective dipshit is actually next.
Okay. So we're gonna cover something real quick. Everybody's saying that they're saying things are staged because they rolled the patient and rolled them back. Right? That's not staging a crime scene. We routinely will roll a patient and put them back or into a certain position. If the patient was truly in rigor and you rolled them to put leads on, you're going to have to roll them back because if they are truly in rigor, they're not going to stay in that other position because the body and muscles are fixed. So if you're sleeping in the fetal position with your back curved, I roll you onto your back to check for a pulse or something, I have to put you back on your side because otherwise you're just going to flop back over because you're not laying in a position that's natural. If that makes any sense. Because you're in rigor. So that's not staging. Here's the problem we're going to have. I mean, and I'm sure the pictures, that is not nearly thorough enough of a chart for anybody's anything. Okay, what we're going to go to real quickly here. What you guys see on the screen, this is the state of Wisconsin's EMS protocols. So this is the determination of death or withholding resuscitation, right? Patient care. All clinically dead patients receive all available resuscitative efforts, including CPR, unless contraindicated by an exception below. The patient would present is a clinically dead patient is defined as any unresponsive patient found without respirations without a palpable carotid pulse. Inclusion or exclusion. So this means, do they fit this protocol, right? Resuscitation should be started on all patients who are found apneic and pulseless. So no pulse, not breathing. Apneic is the medical term. Unless the following conditions exist. Now, this does not apply to victims of lightning strikes, drowning, or hypothermia. Those are special cases, right? And we're going to exclude those. That means you're excluded from this. But there's a medical cause or traumatic injury or body condition clearly indicating biological death, i.e. irreversible brain death, limited to decapitation, the complete severing of the head from the remainder of the patient's body, decomp or putrefaction, skin is bloated or ruptured, with or without soft tissue sloughed off. The presence of at least one of these signs indicates death occurred at least 24 hours previously. Transection of the torso. The body is completely cut across below the shoulders, above the hips, through all major organs and vessels. Spinal column may or may not be severed. Incineration, which is 90% of the body surface area. Full thickness burns. Injuries incompatible with life, such as a massive crush injury, complete exsanguination, severe displacement of brain matter. Futile or inhuman attempts as determined by agency policy or protocol related to compelling reasons for withholding resuscitation, or an blunt or penetrating trauma, the patient's apneic pulseness without other signs of life upon EMS arrival, including but not limited to spontaneous movement, ECG activity, or pupillary response. So this is where it would be 3 leads of asystole, or here's where we're getting to, right? A non-traumatic arrest with obvious signs of death, including dependent lividity or rigor mortis. So that would be inclusion criteria for this. So that would mean we do not attempt resuscitation. Patient's management, you assess for dependent lividity with rigor mortis or inclusion criteria. If components are confirmed, no CPR. If it's been initiated, you can stop, or you're going to have to call your online medical direction. If it's something else, you're going to have to go to a different protocol, or there's a DNR. Key considerations for scene safety or family wishes, the provider may decide to implement CPR even if it's obvious. Generally, we only do that in pediatrics. Or at a likely crime scene, disturb as little potential evidence as possible. So then it also says things that you need to document. Clinical or situational details that may be available for bystanders or caregivers, documentation of details surrounding decision to determine death, time of contact with online medical control, or time of death determination. So let me go back real quick to this. So what that means is, based on what they've described, this patient met the criteria for determination that it was an obvious death and resuscitation should not have been started. Do I have questions whether they adequately met that protocol? Yes, based off of that report. These pictures may show something that changes my mind, but that report is not enough, especially documentation-wise. And if the patient was in rigor, you don't need 3 leads of a 3-lead EKG with asystole and 3 leads. Again, he can't testify to that. He was an EMT, not a paramedic. And in situations it could be a crime scene, we have to leave everything. So yes, we can take the ECG wires, but the stickers have to stay on the person. IVs stay in place, endotracheal tubes stay in place, garbage we left on the floor stays in place, because you don't want to take any evidence out of the scene. Everything you bring in stays in. So in an obvious DOA, you bring as little in and you bring as few people in to the scene to avoid contamination as humanly possible. But again, that is a piss poor EMS report. So let's see what else they have. But that was not staging a crime scene. They have a reason to roll to see and then to roll the person back. So let's see. And I'm sorry if that came across badly, but it's not meant to. That's just the protocol and how it is.
Attention to the screen. Does that photograph truly and accurately portray the condition of Julie Jensen when you first entered the room?
It does.
Okay. Okay.
The blankets were pulled a little bit more off the feet as we arrived.
So the
That
blankets,
says everything I need to
Better,
know about how it is she got fibers in her
these
nose.
blankets here were pulled up over her.
That is correct.
And her nose got broke or damaged.
No,
And
we'll get
that's-
to that.
That's
Hold
an
on.
accurate, is that an accurate depiction of Julie Jensen as she lay in her bed from the backside?
It would be.
And now, is that an accurate depiction of Julie Jensen from the backside with the covers pulled back?
It is.
That's how you found her?
That's how we would have had her once we were putting those electrodes on, yes. When we put the electrodes on.
And then directing your attention to the screen, is that an accurate depiction of Julie Jensen's condition when you observed her with the covers pulled back in the bed and at the time that you arrived?
It is.
And that was how her specific directing your attention to her left arm. Could you put the, that's how her arm was under her body like that?
That is correct. We never moved the left arm. We never moved the left arm.
Now, directing your attention here, is that the way Julie Jensen's nose looked when she was rolled back over?
I would believe so. I can't ascertain that from right now.
Well, do you see her nose is bent over like that, correct?
Correct.
And you did not move the nose into that position?
We did not.
Then go to the next page.
Do we see these pictures, guys?
And that depicts the bedstand with the phone on it, correct?
It does.
And that's how you found it, except that when you came in, the phone was not on the cradle,
That's correct.
and you put it back in the cradle.
I did.
You're on the state would move the photos set forth in Exhibit S25 into evidence subject to cross-examination.
It's number 35, you said, Mr. Chairman?
I'm 25, Your Honor.
25, all right.
And the state would also move Exhibit S24 into evidence subject to cross-examination. That is the report.
Are we done with the direct?
I'm done with I have no further questions.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. So, first and foremost, the patient was in the prone position, not on the side. Right? If a patient is laying prone, not only do you get with rigor and with as lividity sets, all tissue set. So if her nose was smushed into the pillow, back stable, everything is okay. Thank you, Hannah. I am so glad that you came back to let us know. And Hannah, you know our thoughts, like my thoughts. You know where you guys stand. And if you need anything, but I'm glad everything's okay. You had me worried there. He tampered with a crime scene because he was annoyed at the biggest symbol. That, yeah, no, bad on him. That first picture shows that she's face down with her head kind of turned to the side. You can place 3 EKG leads on somebody's back and get the same Einthoven's triangle and get 3 leads. There's no reason to roll her onto her side. Even if they wanted to, great. You're saying we didn't move the arm. Well, by definition, if she was in rigor, you would not have been able to move her arm. She literally, like, arms would have been up in the air like this. Or, however, light as a feather, stiff as a board, whatever. She would look like a plastic mannequin if she was in rigor. And you saw the state protocol. If she was in rigor with signs of obvious lividity and tissue fixation, which is what they are discussing when they're talking about the nose, you don't need an EKG. But that chart is not sufficient. So,
Questions this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
hopefully you'd better
Who's gonna do
uncross,
it?
my
I am.
man,
Thank you, Judge.
because I'd destroy you.
Can I call you Mr. Wilkinson? Is that okay?
That is fine.
Otherwise, it's a long thing to say each time. Okay, thank you. Mr. Wilkinson, you prepared the report that's in front of you, Exhibit 24,
No, you did not.
the last
paramedic
page.
The last page, yes.
The last page is a summary of your observations on that day.
Correct. My observations and activities, yes.
And
Activities.
not
By all means, kiddos,
at the
be
time
feel
of
free.
this investigation, were you a paramedic intern?
That is correct.
And over the years, you've now become deputy chief.
Assistant chief,
assistant
but
chief.
yes.
And as a
Yale, and you can hang here as long as you guys want. Hannah, you and Yale are welcome to hang here as long as you guys want while Papa's resting. You are always welcome on my channel. Always. You don't need to ask. You guys you are beasties. You are welcome here. You don't need to ask. You are more than welcome, guys. And if you need anything from me, let me know. And Yale and Hannah, you guys have my email and my Instagram. And if you need anything, just reach out to me 24 hours a day, okay? Reach out to me or reach out to my email, guys. Croco can put my email in the chat for you. Okay? Reach out to me anytime, day or night. You guys are always welcome, sweethearts. Okay? And Patty or Croco will make sure you have an email and a way to get a hold of me. But you're always welcome in my chat.
a paramedic intern, you were being taught how to be a paramedic,
Correct.
how to handle things in the field,
Correct.
how to write reports,
Correct.
what to put in reports,
Correct.
and the important things to put in reports.
Correct.
Because it's hard to put everything in there.
Absolutely.
And some of the things that they talk about is
Pretty
making
sure that's the right
that you
email
put
address
your
for you guys.
observations of a patient,
Correct.
what you see,
Correct.
potentially what you smell,
Yes.
how they feel when you touch them.
Correct.
And you're also trained to write the reports as soon
I
as
will
you
take
can.
that as confirmation.
Correct.
Andy.
Sometimes you can't
Yeah.
write them right after you've been at a house,
That is correct.
Within
have to go to
24
another
hours
call.
is the law.
Correct.
but you do try to write them as soon as you're able.
That is correct.
And in Ms. Jensen's case, you did that.
Correct.
Did you write your report the next day? Is that what you testified to, or the same day?
Same day.
And you know it's important to put information in your report because you might testify 24 years later.
At the time, I didn't believe that, but yes.
And it's important to have that report so you can kind
Jerry,
of remember what
you're welcome.
happened
Yes.
and refresh your memory.
Yes.
It's also important to put important information because your supervisor reviews the reports.
Correct.
You know that they could be sent to the prosecution, right?
Correct.
Could be sent to
Medical
the defense,
control.
and jurors might have a chance to review them.
Way.
Correct.
Some
And in this
asshole
case, you
paramedic
did put
from
your
Pennsylvania.
observations of what you saw when you were at the Jensen home.
That is correct.
I want to talk to you about what happened when you first arrived. You were dispatched about 4:32 non-military time,
Yes.
and you got there about 4:35.
Correct.
You were the first one there.
I was.
And as you entered, Detective Riley followed after you.
I believe that is correct. Yes.
And did you enter the open garage door?
I believe that's how we entered.
And you entered through the garage into the home.
Correct.
And you didn't see any children standing in the garage.
Not that I recollect.
You didn't see any children sitting in a car.
Not that I recollect.
When you entered, you observed Mr. Jensen,
Correct.
and he was standing in the kitchen.
I believe that's where he met us. Yes.
And when you saw him, he appeared to be crying.
To be honest, I don't remember the state of his emotional state at the time.
You asked him where the patient was,
Yes.
and he directed you to the back bedroom.
Correct.
You asked if he knew what was going on,
Correct.
And he advised you that his wife had taken antidepressants and sleeping pills.
That is correct.
And you found evidence of antidepressant and sleeping pills in the bedroom.
That is correct.
You testified that when you went into the bedroom, you saw that phone was off the hook
Correct.
and you heard the annoying sound
Yes,
and you put the phone back on the hook.
I did.
You don't know what phone Mr. Jensen used to call 911.
No, I do not.
When you and I think Detective Riley, I don't know if he was a detective then, were in the bedroom, you initially checked for signs of life.
That is correct.
And when we saw these photos up on the screen, the blankets were further up on Miss Jensen.
Correct.
So those photos don't accurately show what she looked like when you walked in.
Correct. I cannot state the exact location of those covers, be it 2/3 the way down or all the way up.
And you remember her being on her left side,
Yes.
and you said it was in the classic fetal position.
Semi-fetal, but yes.
Semi-fetal, thank you.
Yes.
At some point, you had to move the blankets
Correct.
just to check her to see if you could feel a pulse.
Correct.
And you didn't feel a pulse.
We did not.
At some point, additional paramedics came.
Correct.
So you weren't by yourself or with just Detective Riley at that point.
No, very shortly after I arrived, the ambulance arrived with the additional paramedics.
And she was rolled further onto her left side.
Correct.
And when she was rolled further onto her left side, her face was moved on the pillow.
Correct.
It would have been kind of moved a little bit off the pillow.
Correct.
When you rolled her over, you didn't see any issues with her nose that you remember.
Not that I indicated in my report, so I can't state to that.
And you didn't see any issues with her mouth. You can look at your report.
No.
There's nothing in there about any concerns about her mouth.
No.
When the other paramedics arrived, although you said the rigor had been set.
Correct.
So in your experience, she had been dead for at least 30 minutes.
It's a safe assumption to say.
Yeah, actually, John, why don't you jump on? Because I have questions for you. Really, really quick, if you don't mind. Like I have questions, and I have questions as to what some of your questions are. Hold on. Hold on, John. I'm sending it to you right now. Okay, John, I sent you.
Ouch.
Hold on for 1 second, because that's killing my ears. Okay, I sent John an invite. So when John gets here when John gets into the backstage, we'll add him. Let's see a little bit of the cross real quick.
I got it.
Yes.
Okay.
And although you knew those things, still we're going to check for a heartbeat.
Absolutely. We always confirm death, just to confirm that we don't have something unusual.
Right. So they decided to use the EKG heart monitor machine.
That is correct.
And did you place the pads on Mr. Jensen, or did another paramedic, if you remember?
I can refer to that first report real quick.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. That was entirely my fault. I had the stream running with StreamYard, and sorry, that was my fault.
Hey, John. Okay.
Hello there.
So we've gotten through a whole bunch of the EMT's initial, but I'm a bit confused.
Okay.
I don't know what you heard.
I watched all of this live.
No. I didn't know. I meant from me.
Okay.
What is your concern with this EMT?
That he's
Up until
what
now.
the fuck he's doing?
So he actually does to a point, scarily enough. He has really shitty documentation.
That's true. I don't think his manipulation of the body, given his information received, was necessarily appropriate.
So, okay, I'm echoing again off of somebody. Here's the thing. Here's where I pulled up the state protocols and I went through them.
Okay.
So my issue is the picture shows the patient and he says face down. That would be the prone position with the head turned. He said they rolled to put EKG leads, confirmed asystole in 3 leads, and then put her back down and rigor set. Well, you don't do CPR if there's rigor or signs of death. It's exclusionary based on protocol. So not attempting any resuscitation is correct.
Fair.
Because that's the state protocol.
I don't have a problem with that.
He's saying they're in rigor, and my concern would be he has shit for a report when I look at it. And my question would also be, I don't know how he's being allowed to testify because he didn't write the report. The paramedic did. He was a brand new EMT.
Here, I'm gonna lead you in gently, because if this is the first thing that Croc got for you, have you seen the detective's video?
Some detective is coming on in a minute, too, they've said.
Okay. So I'm going to lead you into this gently. Hearsay doesn't exist as a concept of law in
okay.
Wisconsin.
That's good to know. Okay.
So that is the most gentle way I can lay it low to have you fall from the towers of actual legal evidence.
Okay, because like you didn't write the report, someone else did, and your report.
I watched this over the course of, at this point, 9 days.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that the EMS report shit. It shouldn't be 3 sentences.
Yeah, no, there are no rules of evidence in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, rolling onto the side. My issue is like I'm looking at the pictures. If they truly rolled the patient, manipulated the body up onto the side, even though they didn't have to for 3 leads of EKG to get 3 leads of asystole, he can't do it. He was an EMT, not a paramedic. So you would have had to have the paramedic testify because you don't know what asystole is as an EMT. You can only testify to what you knew as the time. You can't testify to what you know now.
But, okay.
Clinically and legally, you can't.
Legally, I probably can. Clinically, no. Obviously not.
If I were to grill you on asystole, I could be there would be issues because it's like foundation. Einthoven's triangle.
I could not introduce the asystole. I could describe it to the jury.
You could say it was a flat line. But then if I started asking you things about why it has to be in 3 leads and Einthoven's triangle and gain and all of that stuff.
By the way, not for nothing, I could answer all of those questions. I actually worked in an arrhythmia clinic.
I know you can. I just meant I know you personally can't. I just mean in general.
Fair enough.
It's a general statement. You're not like your normal. But
I'm actually good at what I do, which apparently is very rare.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, you're not the normal lawyer, but she doesn't have fixed lividity in those pictures. And with the nose being screwed up, the nose would be screwed up if she was sleeping on her face.
And went into rigor?
Yeah, and was in rigor because the tissue set. Lividity and tissues set with rigor.
Right. Well,
so that would be normal.
The issue that I have is that they said that cause of death Or has he said it yet? I'm sorry. He said that cause of death or death occurred about 30 minutes prior to their arrival.
Well, he said that at the beginning, but it takes a lot longer than 30 minutes for lividity and for rigor. 4 hours minimum.
Give or take?
4 minimum for central lividity.
Well, I'm talking about peripheral rigor.
Peripheral rigor isn't a criteria for death.
No, it's not a criteria for death, but it's...
If you only have peripheral rigor, you have to work the cardiac arrest.
Fair. And that would actually explain the EKG.
If there's only peripheral rigor, you have to. If she was in...
Looks like one of the kids over there has a question.
Wait, Papa has his leads all the time, so I know where they are. If she was on her side, there'd be no need to move her to attach them. Why move the body and why move the body? Again, so I don't know if it's Hannah or Yael that's asking me this. They would have had to put them on. She didn't have the leads on all the time. So EMS would have had to put the leads on to look. And you can put EKG leads, ECG leads on someone's back. You'll get the same reading. It doesn't matter for this purpose. If they couldn't get to where they need to, they may have rolled the body. But if the body was in rigor, you would have to essentially put the body back. Otherwise, you'd have like this Frankenstein laying on its side. It would just like fall over because they'd be stuck in that position.
But here's the flip side of that from a legal perspective is that they repositioned the body, and that has some impact on the photos that were taken by the crime scene investigators thereafter. And you have to explain that.
Yeah, you do have to explain it. I mean, we haven't seen the pictures of the nose. You can't use the theory the nose is bent because he smothered her, because it wouldn't have stayed that way. The nose would only stay that way with rigor. So unless he smothered her and held her in that position until rigor set for like 4 hours, that wouldn't hold.
Probably one of the theories out.
I'm just saying.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. To roll her onto her side and then roll her back down, I don't see an issue with it. And I've done it plenty of times because, like I said, if she was in the semi-fetal position, you're like going to be laying on your side or up in the air all funny, and you're not going to stay. But I would take issue with the blankets. Once you move those blankets off, you don't put them back on. That would be my issue, not the rolling her to the side and rolling her back.
That is a really, really good point, because them returning the blankets to what they thought it looked like is really restaging the scene.
That would be the restaging, not the moving the body, just because
moving the body, it still is, but
it isn't, because if she's laying on her side and her back is slightly bent or her arms are out, and you roll her, she's gonna just like flop over, because if she's in full rigor, it's not going to work. So that I take less issue, but you don't put the blankets back. That would be where the issue would come.
That's fair.
But I mean, with the body so far, there's not. But with the lividity in the picture, there is no obvious lividity. And you would actually be able to see double lividity if they restaged it truly. And there isn't. Lividity, you can have double and triple lividity.
I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. I'm not saying, but at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with you on that. But okay.
I'm telling you, clinically and medically, you can have double lividity.
No, I'm familiar with the idea of double lividity. I'm saying that that does not necessarily disprove that she was...
Oh, no. I'm not saying that she was... I'm not saying she wasn't rolled and then rolled back. I'm just saying, like, complete restaging. Something was completely restaged. Like she wasn't there at all.
Look,
You would know.
I'm literally not. No, nothing. When I say it was restaged, I am saying that it was something as simple as they rolled her over, they applied the electrodes, they found no EKG, they apparently did no resuscitative efforts, and then they rolled her back on her face.
No
Those are
resuscitation.
the only facts that I believe are clear here.
Yeah, and no resuscitation was appropriate. Rolling
I'm not saying
her.
that any was.
No, I'm just going through them. I'm just saying rolling her is not, I don't see an issue with. I do take issue with putting the blankets back. The timeline is off.
I don't understand why they rolled her back. That's honestly.
So here was my question. Initially said she was found in the prone position, so
Yeah.
face down. And then they said she was on the side in a semi-fetal position.
Yes.
So which one?
Yes.
So if she was face down, you would have rolled her to the side just so you could check for the pulse, and then you would have seen lividity and you would have just let her go because you can't just leave her propped up on her side. If she was in the fetal position on her side and lividity and rigor was set, you wouldn't have been able to roll her face down because then she would have looked like she was on hands and knees. So that's where I would have taken issue with all of this. But
well, unfortunately, you were not the defense attorney.
Oh, I know I'm not the defense attorney. And apparently hearsay's
I said
not a thing.
unfortunately.
He's lucky I'm not his QA. Because just based off that chart, he'd have lost his damn medical command.
Right. Let me not sidetrack everything so much,
Yeah,
because we do have to get to bed tonight. Because
you go to bed.
30 appointment with Destiny in this stupid case.
Yeah, you go to bed. And I will catch you tomorrow. I'll join you tomorrow.
The electrodes on.
I'll hang around.
Okay,
And when we
hang
talk
on.
about placing the electro pads on, we're talking about 2 above her chest.
Correct. Usually right below the clavicle, kind of center midline on it.
Center midline of her upper chest.
Correct.
Doesn't
And
matter.
then 1 lower.
Correct.
Doesn't matter.
And in order to put these EKG pads on her to connect to the machine,
Yep.
you had to roll her over to her left side.
Nope.
Correct.
You had to pull up her shirt.
Correct.
You put it on the arms and the legs.
And as we talked about, when you rolled her over, you would have removed her head from the pillow or her face from the pillow.
Based on the rigor mortis, it would have moved with the rest of the body. That is correct.
Based on
the rigor mortis, it would have moved with the rest of the body.
So based on rigor mortis, her face would have moved with the rest of her body. Right?
That would be a safe.
And it's possible that.
What are you saying, John?
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. So, for rigor to set in the initial instance is at least 2 hours. You said 4.
For full rigor, it's 4.
Okay.
That doesn't mean 30 minutes.
Right.
Okay, hold on.
That's not where I'm going. I'm just going to leave it at that.
No, I'm listening. No, I want to know what your question is.
My question is, he is trying to explain why there was damage to the face because of theory 2 of the prosecution.
Theory 2 being?
Violent suffocation.
Yeah, that doesn't work because it wouldn't have stayed unless they held it.
I know.
Other appendages moved.
Yes.
Then she wasn't in rigor.
Like her arm.
Yeah, yeah.
Then she wasn't in rigor at all.
After you concluded with the heart monitor that there
There
was
are
no
3 theories of the prosecution.
what would you call that?
Electrical activity or heart rhythm.
And they're trying to
Heart
find
rhythm.
all of them at the same time.
The electrodes were removed and just the pads were kept on.
Correct.
The
The cables were
electrodes are
removed
the
and just the
pads.
stickers or what we call the electrodes are left.
And then she would have been
The leads
rolled
were
back
removed.
over to the position that you
No.
believed her to be in
Poorly phrased.
before you put the monitors on.
Correct.
It'd be fair to say you didn't take a picture of her when you walked in.
We did not.
You got as close as to the original position as you could,
Correct.
which included putting her face back in the pillow.
Correct.
You
It'd
put her
also be fair
face
to
back
say
in the
that
pillow.
taking photos at that point was the last thing you were thinking about.
Correct. That's a PD function that'd be a PD function or police function that we don't
Yes,
worry
I
about
get
at the time of
flashbacks, yeah.
patient care.
You're worried about the patient
Exactly.
to see if there's any way you can help the patient.
Correct.
So you're not taking pictures before or after you move the body.
No.
And after you
They
had done
turned her
the
over,
monitoring
applied
and
electrodes,
determined that there was no heart,
realized, hey, she's dead, and then put her back face down.
Right, and she's not in
That
rigor.
the detectives could take pictures.
Here's the problem. You've just admitted she wasn't in rigor because her arms moved. So we have a problem.
Well, so you will see, or if you had watched it,
Oh,
there's
I
a
know
lot
what-
of conversation about the left arm.
I saw some of that, but the thing is, things are moving. So if she's not in
There's
rigor,
recent enough death that the left arm is still pliable, obviously not in rigor.
right, and her nose wouldn't have been fixed in that position.
Right. I think that they damaged the body when they rolled it. I think that's at the very least that's the theory of the defense.
I think they're just dumb.
Well, that's
No, but I'm just saying, I mean, her nose would have been stuck in that position if any other part of her moved. And you're saying her face moved with her because she was in rigor, but rigor starts peripherally, moves, and then it undoes.
Yes.
So you don't have the right chronology of rigor breaking for her face to be set a certain way and her head to be set a certain way and her nose to be set a certain way if you're able to roll them and roll them back. Like, that doesn't work. And the bigger issue is then why did you put the blankets back? And you put 3 leads on, you didn't have rigor. If you didn't have rigor, you should have started CPR.
and they never did that, obviously. He already testified, I
rhythm,
believe,
arrhythmia,
Rhythm.
rhythm. Thank you. One day, you left
Shortly after, yes.
the bedroom.
Yes.
You don't know if there was any manipulation of the body between the time you left and the time the photos were
Patty, you
taken.
That is
leave
correct.
the stickies on. The
I
wires
think you
take.
testified a little bit about pooling of blood, or in your report you talked about pooling of blood.
Correct.
That would be called lividity.
And that is something you saw on the left side
CCW.
of the face.
Correct.
And
Remind
that's just
Papa,
consistent with
I want him
someone being
around
on
for a
the
long
left
time.
side.
You what?
I said for CCW and H&J, remind Papa that the nurse and I both want to run for a long time.
Yeah. Well, there was an issue with CCW earlier, so we were worried about Papa.
There was a mini update. I thought I might call attention to it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
For a period of time.
Correct. It's a condition called dependent lividity. Dependent lividity, which means when a patient dies, the blood's going to pool to the location where gravity takes it. In
Does
this
it mean-
case, was the face in the left side because that was which was down against the ground, or sorry, the bed.
Not entirely.
It doesn't mean someone's bleeding.
But
No, it does not.
I want to talk just a little bit of the observations you had when you walked in the room. You didn't smell any urine or feces.
Loki, may I
Not that I
on your
recollect.
channel? I just
You
want
didn't
permission.
What? Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Fire away.
Okay.
See anything on the bed?
Not that I remember. No.
When you rolled Miss Jensen over, you didn't see any vomit on the pillow?
I did not.
You didn't see any blood on the pillow?
Not that I recollect.
And you observed her shirt when you put the monitors on?
Yes.
You didn't see any vomit or blood on her shirt?
Not that I recollect.
And if you had, that's something you probably would have put in your report.
I would hope I did.
I mean,
This
those are
is where they're
important things
going.
when you're taking care of a patient.
There were no
Right.
bodily fluids
Nothing
on
further.
that
Thank you,
bed,
sir.
Thank you.
documented by anyone.
Assistant Chief Wilkinson, I'm going to direct your attention to the screen again.
Okay.
Now, going to
CCW, make sure you email
this
me, please.
photo is the depicted Julie Jensen as she appeared when you found her and pulled the covers back. Is that true?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
Whatever we can do to help.
I'm pulling close up here. Is that one of the EKG pads?
Yes, it is, sir.
So this is a photo that was taken after you had attached the EKG pads.
Remember, you're
Correct.
And then removed the EKG.
Yeah, CCW, please email me. And you guys have the support, but please email me so I can at least send you something.
And Loki, let me
EKG
know.
device.
I will.
Correct. Once we remove the cables. Yes.
Put her back in the position that you found her.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you first found her and before you attached the EKG pads, you indicated you rolled her over. Do you remember? Did you use the right shoulder as depicted here?
Correct.
And the right hip as depicted here, were those the items you used or the parts of her body you used to roll her over?
Correct. We pushed against her right shoulder, rotating her body to give us access to the chest.
And when you
don't need the
rotated
chest.
her, did you rotate her all the way over onto her back or just sufficiently onto her side to attach the EKG pads?
Just to the side to attach the pads.
And then after you'd attached the pads and you ran the EKG, then you removed the EKG device,
Correct.
leaving the pads in place
Correct.
and putting her back in this position.
Correct.
And that position, in your estimation, is the position that you also found her in?
Correct.
Now, because of the rigor,
No, there's no rigor.
you
It's
tend to go
30
back into
minutes.
the same position anyway, correct?
That
Because
is-
of
Oh
the
my
rigor
God.
mortis that was present?
That is correct.
There's
And
no
then
rigor at
rigor
30
mortis
minutes.
Let me pull this up here.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
You're good. There's no rigor though.
There's no rigor at 30 minutes.
So here's
I'm
the
sorry.
thing.
I think I gave you a spoiler alert on where this is going and why this drove me nuts.
No, you didn't. But here's what I find funny, right? We're harping on the rigor. We're harping on all of this stuff at 30 minutes and all of these things, right? I have had a patient where I was called to a scene as like backup who was laying on a cold tile floor. She'd been there all night and her one leg and one arm were in rigor, but
Sure.
we got pulses back and she walked out of the hospital because she was laying on cold tile and had cut off her own circulation because she wasn't moving.
Right.
So that leg and that arm were in full rigor. But that's why in the protocols they say with hypothermia, they don't apply.
Well, similar to, say, crush syndrome.
Crush
Not really similar,
die
but, but I'm trying to pull an analogy. Yeah, sometimes the issue is can
environmental.
Yeah, can the environmental circumstance change?
So what we always say is you're not dead until you're warm and dead. Because if you're that hypothermic, you can actually look like you're in asystole on a monitor. And unless I use POCUS, which is a point of care ultrasound, and you see very fine electrical cardiac movements, it'll show asystole on it. So that's why you can't pronounce someone that's hypothermic dead until you return them to warm and dead. So you can have rigor in an arm because of position or environment, but not in her face and nothing else.
Well, that's what I'm sort of saying. Is like, why is it that they just put on the leads as opposed to, you walk into the room, at the very least, try chest compressions.
If I walk into a room, you're cold, you're in rigor, and I see dependent lividity, I'm not even sticking leads on. If there's enough of a question that you're putting leads on, unless it is a directive of your medical director to have confirmation of asystole in 3 leads as per your county medical examiner, there's no reason. If you have obvious death, you do not.
Then there's no point to move the body in the first place.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So either you had obvious death, you don't touch the body, you don't put the leads on, you don't do anything. Or we need to go to the cardiac arrest protocol.
And
You can't do both.
Kind of neither.
Right, you can't skate the line that they did.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
And he can't do shit. He's an EMT, not a paramedic.
You indicated in your report that you felt the arm, which was cold, appeared to be stiff and in rigor mortis. Which arm are you talking about? The right arm? Here?
At that time, it would have been the right arm that we were feeling.
So this was the arm that was stiff and in rigor mortis.
Correct.
So when you rolled her back, this arm remained in that position because
would have
this
been
arm
like
was in rigor mortis.
in the air.
Correct.
In fact, if you'd have put that arm down straight, it would have come back up. With rigor
You
mortis.
can't
Is
put
that
it down
true?
straight. It's not a spring.
I believe that is correct.
So here's where you're gonna lose your freaking mind.
You can't. It's not a spring. You can't
They're
just put his
literally
arm
gonna-
down and then his arm go back up. You can't. The joint is fixed.
So here's the issue, and this is where you're gonna lose your minds, is that they basically argue that when they repositioned her because she was already in rigor, that nothing that they did actually changed what was the crime scene.
Right.
I'm telling. This is my spoiler alert.
But it's not a spring. You can't just like put it down and the arm goes back up. The arm and the joint are fixed like this. You would physically have to break bones.
The whole point of rigor is that essentially at the end of the day, when it comes to the muscular system, this is the basics of rigor, is you no longer have the potassium ion pump operating in the cells of the muscles. So you need to, like you said, break bones in order to move the thing. That is, the guy doesn't know what rigor is, but okay.
You would literally have to break bones. I mean, although rigor does break on its own, but then you would have other issues like you would smell decomp because by that point, once rigor is broken, it's like 16 hours.
Yeah, we're not there.
So this doesn't work.
I have nothing further on redirect.
Recross?
Yes, please. Thank you. The photo that you were just shown, you didn't take that photo,
No, one of the police officers did.
and you weren't in the room when that photo was taken.
I was not.
So when you were asked if that's the photo of her after you took the EKG monitors on, that would have been many minutes after.
I cannot place a time on it. That's outside of my purview.
Could have been an hour after.
I can't say.
You have no idea.
Correct.
You didn't take any photos,
That is correct.
and you weren't there when any photos were taken.
Not to my recollection.
I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
All right, you're excused. Thank you. Jerry, can you get the exhibits if they're up here?
Yeah, I understand you've seen the vast majority of at least his
24 and 25.
Yes, sir.
This has been a disaster.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I haven't seen all of it, but
Croc, do we got you for the next video? Did you see the detective?
no, we're getting there. They gave us the wrong link originally.
Okay.
Hi, Leanie.
But
Our detective friend is actually next.
all right. I'm gonna stick around for the detective, and then I'm probably gonna have to go to bed because I gotta deal with this train wreck at 9:30 in the morning again.
Well, I'll be on, and I'm gonna send me the link. I'll jump on in the morning with you.
Absolutely, you're more than welcome. So I'll stick around for the detective, and then I probably gotta go to bed.
Okay, you can go to bed if you need to. You know you can anytime you need to.
But this dude was an
I will drop in for a while before my live stream.
Sorry, Croc?
I said I'll drop in for a little while before my live stream and then maybe come back after that.
Yeah, I'll
Depends on
show
what
you
the
a
live
link.
is.
Right here.
That's probably
So send me a link too, please.
Absolutely.
I promise it won't
Just
go as
don't
badly
want
as it did.
attorneys walking out with the exhibit.
Make sure Ms. McNeil
Okay.
watch me and I'll watch her.
Thank
The
you. Who's
defense I
next
actually
witness?
think might be competent.
Lieutenant
Here's
Ratsburg,
Rust.
witness
haven't
number
objected
61. Your
to
Honor.
Thank you.
that
Thank you,
call, but
Leanie. I appreciate it. I appreciate it in my quest for 1,000.
We'll get you there. We will. I mean it.
I know.
We got
I'm
we got cold 25 subs literally yesterday.
Yeah, we'll get
And
there. I
somebody
know.
offered $100 to get my chat to do it. So, not somebody, Kara, who is a huge friend of the channel, but we're gonna make this happen. I want more.
Standing, raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. You solemnly swear the testimony in this matter to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Get as close as you can to the microphone. Spell your first and last name for the reporter.
First name is Paul. Last name Ratsburg. That's Ratzburg.
Thank you. Go ahead. Is it going to be Mr. Jambo or Ms. McNeil?
It's going to be
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Jambo.
Detective Ratburger.
On December 3rd, 1998, how were you employed?
I was a police officer with the Village of Pleasant Prairie.
And could you move the microphone directly in front of your face, please? That microphone right there, that small microphone. Put it right up your mouth. Otherwise, the reporter won't be able to hear you and possibly the jury.
What'd you say?
I said you could probably skip through most of the qualification. I don't know where that is in the video, but
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I need to check one thing.
yeah, go ahead.
Propel.
By the way, thanks for using Court TV as opposed to my feed.
I was going to use yours, but I didn't want to listen to Cole at the beginning.
Fair enough.
It had nothing to do with you. It was like I didn't want to be talking over you and Cole and the thing. Because there was a few times where like I couldn't hear.
Loki, I'm making a joke.
Oh, I know. I was sorry. I was looking at my phone because my child might not have school tomorrow because of weather. I was checking to see if she was on the closing list already.
Thank you.
Now, so on December 3rd, 1998, by whom were you employed?
With the Village of Pleasant Prairie Police Department.
Okay, that microphone still needs to come closer.
Are we telling him to deep throat the mic? Like, what are we
Is
doing?
that much better?
That's better.
Okay, I can hear
I
myself.
made that
so.
joke literally at the exact
So-
same time.
In what capacity were you employed by
That's
the Pleasant
because
Prairie
you're my
Police Department on
partner in
December 3rd,
crime and we think
1998?
the
A police
same.
officer.
What was your rank?
I was a lieutenant of detectives at that time. I'm sorry, sergeant of detectives.
So you were detective sergeant on December 3rd, 1998.
That is correct, yes.
And how long did you remain with the police department after December 3rd, 1998?
I retired in 2012.
And when you retired from the police department in 2012, what was your rank?
I was a lieutenant of detectives.
So Detective Lieutenant Ratsburg upon retirement? Or was it, well, it'd be Lieutenant
Hey,
Detective.
you
or
literally
Detective
just
Lieutenant?
answered your question.
Either way, sir.
Fucking
Okay.
moron.
So Detective
Right.
Lieutenant Ratsburg, when you
Sorry.
Hey, John,
when
can you
did you
hold me on for 2
respond
minutes while I
to
take my night meds real quick?
or where did you respond on December
By all
3rd,
means.
1998 in the later afternoon hours?
Approximately, well, it was after 4:30 at 9020 Lakeshore
Great.
Drive. I responded to the Jensen residence.
Welcome to J.
And
Rowe.
is 9020 Lakeshore Drive located in the village of Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha County in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
And why were you dispatched to that location?
I was notified that Julie Jensen had passed on and was dead.
And when you heard this news, was the name Julie Jensen already familiar to you?
Yes, it was.
And how had Julie Jensen's name become familiar to you?
Well, over the last, probably since 93 through her death in 98, I was keeping in touch with Officer Cosman, and I had personal contact with Julie Jensen a couple times. They had problems with finding pornographic pictures around the home.
And this has been going on since 92 in yours, 92 or 93, or you're not sure?
92 or 93, that would be my estimation.
I love that Jensen and his defense counsel are actually wondering where they're going with this.
I admit a little bit of confusion on that score.
Oh, look, it's a beautiful example of where the state has not necessarily presented their evidence in a timely manner. Because we didn't deal with that today.
Documents that have been marked as S27. And I don't want you to read it out loud. I just want you to page through it and questions about it.
No. Stop. I said it. I feel like I'm having deja vu. And I know that I am, because I actually watched this in real time.
Did no one get the no unsolicited dick pic memo?
Apparently
So
not.
what are those?
These are a copy of reports from the Pleasant Prairie Police Department starting in 1992.
What specifically is the date on the first report?
1/27/1992. It'll be
And what's-
January 27th, 1992.
And what's the date of the last report?
The last report would be 96, 12/18 of 96.
So these reports
If I
go from
recall
January
correctly,
27th, 1992
I am
through,
going to run
late December
through that hallway
1996.
and start
Correct.
screaming at
And those
myself.
are a collection of
But
reports
this
from the Pleasant
time I
Prairie
will
Police
mute.
Department concerning incidents that had occurred at the
It's
Jensen
on my
residence.
channel.
Correct.
I cannot. It would be inappropriate as a guest to be so rude.
To what?
So had you responded to some of those calls?
Last time that I
Yes.
listened to
And,
this guy's testimony, I
Officer
swear
Brian
to God,
Cosman had
I
responded
forgot
to
that
the
I had
bulk of those
muted
calls?
my
Yes.
microphone.
And-
I ran into the other room and I started cursing.
So you were aware of this
I
history
lost
on
it 2
December
minutes.
3rd, 1998, when you received
Welcome
this
back,
call
Loki.
about Julie Jensen's
Hey,
death.
Radiosphere?
Yes, I was also familiar with officers' contact with
So, I will
Miss
try not
Jensen
to do
earlier
that while
about
I am
some
a guest on
photographs
your channel.
that Julie took.
So on December 3rd,
Well, call, I don't know.
1998, do you recall what time you received the phone call to go to that residence?
It was approximately 4:30 p.m.
Now, on that day, what shift did you actually work?
I worked on the day shift that day. My shift ended at 3 o'clock, and I was home, and then I was notified that Julie had passed approximately 4:30-ish.
So Upon receiving that
4:30.
information, what did you do?
Well, I
Okay.
immediately called yourself. You were the district attorney here at that time. And I asked that you meet me at the area. And I gave you a brief description over the phone on some of the history.
No, I just need a moment to breathe. Loki, just so you know,
Sir?
just so you know, they spent almost an hour of him reading his own words into the record from the previous trial. So we are well outside of. I think I know where you're going. Maybe I do not. But just know that we've allowed that already.
Yeah, some Wisconsin Supreme Court decision that was specific to this guy.
Okay, that's a thing now. Great.
Krog was all with me, and both of us have deep concerns, but this is the lay of the landscape.
Okay, but this is Daryl Brooks appealing for ineffective of counsel because Daryl Brooks represented Daryl Brooks, but he's also his own appellate attorney.
We're close.
Okay.
I'm telling you, do you understand why I've been losing?
That I was aware of there, including the pornographic pictures and so forth, and the communications that Julie had with Officer Cosman. And I viewed those photos. And when I met you at the scene, we recapped that information. And then I went on to speak with the staff there and Mr. Jensen.
And after
yeah,
speaking
fair
with
point.
those
And
persons,
Luke makes a very good point.
Did you at any time enter the
mail
bedroom
on
and
the
did you
defense
observe
counsel was
Julie
actually
Jensen's-
on the original
Julie
Brooks
Jensen's
counsel
body?
that he
I did,
fired.
yes.
So how soon after you arrived did you observe Julie Jensen's body?
So you're
Very
not
shortly
that far off.
afterwards, I got there, observed that. I don't believe you were on scene yet. I spoke with the officers on the scene, did a preliminary search or visual search of the area. And then I spoke with other people on the scene.
Yeah, the defense doesn't object to any of this. Ever, pretty much.
The only word I'd have, the
Right.
only thing anyone would hear from me would be objection.
I think the defense only objects maybe twice over this entire interrogation.
Okay.
Do you realize why I like?
No, I understand why. I'm just.
So after arriving at the scene and observing the body, at some point I arrived. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then there was discussion about obtaining a search warrant or obtaining consent to search.
Yes,
This
the
is not
reason
a
I
direct
contacted you
examination.
is I didn't know if I was going to be able to obtain consent to search from Mr. Jensen or the Jensen family. I contacted you in case we needed a search warrant because as soon as I heard that news, given the circumstances that I was aware of on December 3rd, I wanted to do a full death scene investigation.
Prosecution
and
is
see what
literally
happened.
reading his own opinion. Into
So
the
did
evidence.
you obtain consent from Mark Jensen to do a full death scene investigation?
Well, I got consent to search the house and obtain any records that I wished. I spoke with Mr. Jensen, went over the forms, and obtained written consent for us to search the house. He made arrangements to leave the house that evening, and we conducted a search of
By
the
the way, it
home
sounds like
and
a
documented
terribly guilty
items from the
person
home.
that just
So you
says,
photo-
"Hey, check out the house." By all means, go ahead. Like you're dealing with somebody who potentially, let me give the flip side argument. You have somebody who's distraught. His wife just died. And they're trying to figure out what the hell happened. And he goes, hey, I'll go stay at a hotel. Go through the house. Like, seriously, like, I want to know what happened. Is that not an entirely plausible argument?
Great.
It's at least plausible. Like, it's weird because I started this case from day one. I thought he did it, but the prosecution couldn't prove it. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not actually sure that he did it.
I think I just okay.
Photographed it, and did you also videotape the crime scene?
Yes, we photographed most everything in the house, and then I did a video of the home before and after.
He stays with
So
his
when
parents.
did you do this video? How soon? How long?
What? How much of this stupidity is like relevant to this, or is he just going to sound like an idiot reading his own?
Croc, do you have the timestamp where he starts doing the video?
I do not. I don't have it, but the this prosecutor is known for is absolutely been tooting his own horn the entire trial. Like everything I've seen, he's testifying.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's midnight, guys. John needs to go to sleep soon. I need to get a little bit of sleep. I'm not feeling.
Let's get to the
Rick,
video
we're
from
gonna-
this guy.
Let's get to what?
Let's get to the video from this guy because this is the one that's actually going to blow your mind.
Okay, let me find it.
That looks like video.
These
there's some.
videos?
Yeah, and just watch what this detective.
Okay, hold on.
How he goes about
Might have to go back.
investigation. Because here's what happens is they voir dire the video evidence first, and then they actually play it to the jury. So it goes twice, but it doesn't matter. I think it's still going to absolutely blow your mind. The way that
Well, either one would work.
Investigation.
Okay, let's see. All I gotta say is this sheriff's deputy is like, y'all aren't paying me enough for this.
Oh, this
issue
sheriff's
is-
deputy, honestly, I
They're
think
still
he actually,
talking, so.
if he were on the jury, I already have
The
a-
record should reflect the jury is outside the court. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Your Honor. So I just want to make this brief record as to why I'd requested
Sure.
the court's indulgence. As I was about to play the crime scene
Oh,
video,
shut up.
Mr. Perry advised me that they had an objection to some part of the oral statements that were being made by Detective Ratsberg, Sergeant Ratsberg, as
If I
he
can
was
give you some
doing the video.
background, it doesn't
I'd
matter
not heard
what
about
he's
this
saying.
objection before.
The issue, it doesn't matter what he's saying. The issue is that there were some statements that are testimonial during the actual video that is being presented. That's
Okay.
all that matters. Otherwise, we could probably go a bit ahead.
No.
And you're going to, I'm sorry to the chat and to all
No
of
entering the children's room,
there's no way about this.
photographing, recording the condition that we found it in.
Yeah, the busing, there's nothing you can do about it.
This is a child's room. It doesn't seem like anything too unusual, especially
Pretty much
for
a
the
standard
late-
child's room. Now going a shot down the hallway. Well, the kitchen and the den will do. Kitchen area, there's a cabinet with a lot of prescription items in them. We will be taking all of that.
They were very happy. This was the first
Also
time you was able
located
to use
this
the
here.
video camera.
Inside the, it was open this
And
up.
there's
This was
no
one we
gloves.
found
He's opening the
that
pack
you were
hold,
missing on this.
and there we go. That's good. This is a crime scene.
And my apologies for the shakiness here. It's hard to do 3-4 things at once.
And
trying to
those
get
are
everything
sample
recorded
packs,
here.
folks.
Yeah, that's a lot of sample boxes.
You notice there was macaroni and cheese in the bedroom, along here with the
I think Loki's having an error.
garbage can
He's
in here.
reaching into the
I
trash.
would note that I think
moving
that macaroni and cheese might be somewhat older, maybe this morning or last night, because there is garbage on top of it, as you notice, along with an orange.
You'd like to pause when your mind actually breaks. Mine was maybe
Case there is the police department camera kit. Other than that, everything else has been pretty much found where we found it, or where we found it. This is some mail addressed to Julie and Mark Jensen from the Kohl's department store. And a copy of the newspaper. Today's Thursday,
Who
December
leaves
3rd.
their fucking who leaves their newspaper like that?
And here in the living room, we'll be going over towards the den and photographing items in there. Be turning off the light now to save on some juice here. The briefcase there that's located there right in front of me here. Sergeant Hunter found some materials which he laid out on the desk, which he'll be looking
Sergeant
further
Hunter
into.
found some things, and we're letting all of this in.
And
The audio
we
is
have,
allowed in.
Been going through the room here.
Rifle on the wall that he just kind of panned over and wandered off with.
Yep.
Again, I'm just panning around. This is the den area at the Jensen home, located at 9020 First Avenue.
I think we might actually kill Loki if we continue with this. I was losing my goddamn
den and into the
the
bathroom.
entire time.
The towel.
I actually know where they're going. Wild.
No distinct
Right now,
to it.
No gloves, nothing.
Toys in the bathtub.
This is actually
Finishing there will be now going to the garage area. So some of the items
Not a
here.
bad wet bar. At least you didn't drink it. Might have had
This is the
antifreeze.
garage area. December
Here's
3rd,
the point.
1998.
Pause 1
at the
second.
Jensen home.
If you can. So this is the point where the defense actually did not have an objection to this tape. This conversation when he's in the garage is what they were objecting to. So just so you know. No, we can keep going. It's not going to get better.
I did find in going through some of the
Come on,
vehicles,
Loki,
and
you
see
can
the
do
doors
it.
go open, and what I believe to be Miss
I
Jensen's
believe to be.
automobile with somewhat of a resume in there. I'm not sure if it has any relevance at all.
I'm not
assuming
sure if
the
it
white
has any
vehicle
relevance
is
at all.
Mark Jensen's vehicle, and I'm walking outside of the garage here to get a better look at it.
It's all got to admit into evidence, by the way.
Would further note that I had conversation with Officer Cosman. Myself and Officer Cosman have communicated with Ms. Jensen in the past about
Do I
some of her
have to say
concerns.
hearsay, or
And he
do we
informed me
just
that Julie
assume?
told her, when he last spoke with her, that he keeps photos and videotapes in the garage on a shelf. I haven't been able to examine.
Sir, Sir, if you bust out this man's porn collection and show me, sir, I don't care if you are dead. I am going to come down and dig you out of the ground and murder you again.
This is what Croc said would drive you nuts. So I didn't want to go to bed before we saw this together.
Sir, why are you so concerned about his electric bill? I mean, like, and who cares how much, how many bottles of sample packages of Paxil? And if I have to look at this man's porn, what is wrong with you people?
Courtney, we should not tell her. It's probably not good.
Yeah, no, she needs to experience this for herself.
This area thoroughly yet, but I will, and if there's anything that I find, I will note. Again, the Jensen home, December 3rd, 1998, be the garage area.
Yeah, that's called a timestamp, you idiot. You don't have to say it. Fuck.
Be turning on the light again, just a little more. Garbage cans with a light on.
Any obvious antifreeze?
Appears to be in the garbage. I haven't gone through it.
Nope.
Yet. Some type of case, some mailings.
And guess what they did not take out of that garage? Any freaking antifreeze.
Familiar? That little pits up there. A recycle bin. Part to the garage door, which is obviously missing. I'll try to focus in on that. You can see that it's
actually kind of too
missing. The vehicles, of course, is plate.
Now, Loki, you're
MY3DS.
slowly starting to understand.
The other is on the Suburban. Or
the insanity that I have been dealing with for the last week and a half.
It's SBM 875.
Loki appears to be frozen.
Another look into the garbage. I'm not sure if there's any.
She's understanding that this
it.
is what I've been doing for a week and a half. And why my mind is perhaps a little bit fried.
Home, and I found no signs of any type of forced entry or
really
anything
small
like that.
dose.
Now we enter in the basement.
Even I could get this crime scene tossed.
Walk downstairs at the same time. Be turning off the light again here.
This, by the way, this is all being shown to the jury.
Looks like your standard average basement, fuse box, microwave, and all this. I'm back here by the stairs and just kind of doing a general pan with the light back on.
Which you do slowly so your camera can keep
Again,
up.
looking back
No more fuzzies.
upstairs and into the garage and into the home.
And all that the defense wanted was don't allow the commentary on top of it. If you want to show
Generally
the
photographing
fine.
and videotaping the property and
the judge said,
we've
no,
disturbed
we're going to
very
have
little,
the commentary.
with the exception of what I pointed out earlier.
Did you think Jeffrey Dahmer
This is
lived
the
there that you're
freezer.
checking the fridge?
I don't know what to tell you, Loki. Honest to God.
Maybe Dahmer was here. Let me just check what's.
I'm at this point 9 days into this. How do you think my sanity is holding up?
It's not going to get any better.
Well, we're finally on the defense.
Yeah,
Prosecution
this light
has
might be
said,
getting a little low, but it's over here in the
so
basement.
maybe.
There's a humidifier. Turn on a light here. Pretty
I
much
hope maybe.
items in the basement.
But in terms of actual physical evidence, yeah, we're not going to get much better. Do you know how many medical examiners they had? One that did the autopsy. One is no longer available that actually tested the materials.
Around here to
They had the expert today, and then there's a fourth one out there in the ether. We're not doing great.
Yeah, just kind of a general pan.
CCW, let us know what's going. Go get yourself taken care of. Keep us
that's
posted.
way more important than anything else.
Girls, I saw the email from you. I will email you guys back as soon as I'm done. CCW, go. Relax. I got the email. You are what is most important in all of this.
Yeah, this is just YouTube. Like, you guys, you have a real life. Like, that's
You go do
way
what
more
you need.
important always.
I got the email. I will email you the girls back. I will make sure you can get a hold of us if you guys need anything. Go and keep us posted, CCW.
Absolutely.
We care more about you than this video.
Absolutely.
Big hugs.
Besides,
We
you can always
love you.
You can always catch up later because these things.
Big hugs. We love all of you. CCW, I have the email. Go. And the girls are they are always welcome. And go.
Yeah.
Just keep us posted.
Every moment of every day. Your own actual life is way more important than some people spouting off at a video.
Yeah. 1,000%. And let us know if the beasties or John's, any of us can help with anything. You let us know.
You can say ginger snaps, but yeah.
Well, I didn't know if we were still going with the ginger snaps or if they'd changed themselves.
It's still floating around out there. I haven't changed it. But, like, seriously, if the BCs or the ginger snaps, if there is any way that Loki or I can help.
You guys just let us know. I got the email. And I will make sure John has your contact.
I'm very happy to help in any way I can. I mean, resource-wise,
just let us know what you guys need help find. We'll do it. Okay?
Seriously, I do mean that.
John can attest that I will move mountains for people.
And Loki,
he is the same.
Loki can attest that I have moved mountain, or at least I've
we both
contributed in the background. So, like,
we both
will make things happen.
Okay, just let us know.
Just be good. Take care.
Yeah.
Focus on yourselves and let us know if you need us.
Yeah. Okay, girls. Let us know if you need us. And girls, if you're going to hang out here, that's fine. You're welcome. You know you are. We will take care of the girls.
Hey.
The girls are always welcome with us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
sorry, that wasn't.
No, they responded.
Yeah, I know. That was more important than this.
If they do need anything, seriously.
Yeah, they already emailed me.
I'm right there with you.
I know.
All right.
This is insanity.
Yeah,
Like,
this case is stupid.
Oh, we're way past stupid.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm,
fair enough.
you know what? I will. We're gonna call it for right now. We will reconvene on the stupid in the morning.
That's fair. I mean, I'm gonna
You need
reopen it
sleep.
tomorrow, and if I will obviously offer you both of you links.
Yeah, send me the link and we will. Send me the link. We'll be there.
All right.
I'll be there. I have to hook up night meds and stuff. So, guys, I will catch you all in the morning. CCW, we love you. We love the girls. Let us know if you guys need anything. I love all my beasties. We love the ginger snaps. I will pop over to John's channel. At some point, I'm going to drag John through the stupid that is the Murdoch gun idiot.
I want to be there for that.
Yeah. And we will see everybody on stream. Okay? And we'll see you guys in the morning. And we love you. Beastie love. Love to everybody in my lair. Love to the ginger snaps. And John, go get
And
some
the few
sleep so
minions we have hiding around.
Yeah, the few minions. John, and go get some sleep so we can lose our shit together tomorrow morning.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, I'll catch
I
you
will
in the
be
morning.
here as early as is possible.
Yeah.
That's fine.
6:30 is a little early for me.
Okay, hugs and love, everybody. Yeah, John, send it to me because I'll be there in the morning.
All right, folks. I'll see you.
Okay, night.
Peace.